What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and earlier today I was at Best Buy and I was grabbing one of those little car mount things for phones, for my iPhone. And I passed by a couple of guys, and these guys were having a conversation. They were talking about the newest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was inclined to jump in, but I was kind of in a rush because I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Man, the most recent episode? Man, like this is when the season finale of episode 5 came out, by the way, if you ever happen to see this in the future. Man, the recent episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., man, it was amazing. Chloe Bennett, girl. Man, it was good. It was a really, really good episode. Oh, Phil Coulson. It's obvious the show was supposed to end with season 5, and being renewed for season 6 was unexpected. But nonetheless, I digress. As I'm going through and I'm just kind of looking around, for one of these little things, which I found pretty quickly, these guys were talking about Chloe Bennett, and one of them had made the passing comment of they would date her or something along those lines, and the other one was like, dude, she's way out of your league, and that was interesting to me. Like, I heard that, and that was intriguing to me, because in truth, I've never really thought of things like that before. I mean, I guess it's crossed my mind like it has anybody else, but it's not really a core part of how I view the world. My philosophy when it comes to women is that no woman is out of my league. Now, that doesn't mean that I can get any woman I want to. That's not what that means. It means for me, from my perspective, I'll pursue any woman that I find to be interesting. The only situation that really comes into play is like the ability to strike up a conversation, to interact with them in a natural setting, and not like force a situation. That's the difference. I mean, that to me, that's kind of what kicks things off. But it's interesting when people say that, because I feel like people have this tendency to create these kind of social barriers, right? They're like, oh, they're celebrities, they're up there, and they don't come down here and date people like us. That doesn't happen. I need an average girl. I need a regular girl. Now, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, because in truth, it's a lot easier to attain, a person in your immediate vicinity than it is someone who lives what amounts to being on the other side of the world and is most likely pursued by all kinds of different men. But it doesn't mean they're unattainable. And to me, that's the difference. That's like the huge point to all this. You can take any actress you want to. I mean, we can use this example. You can use the example of like Candace Patton, because everybody knows I got a thing for Candace Patton. She's beautiful, man. But you could take like Candace Patton. You could say, okay, like, is she an attainable person? Absolutely. Why? Well, because she goes to sleep at night, and because she gets up in the morning, and she eats breakfast and lunch and dinner and probably some snacks in between, and like she does whatever she does in her spare time, and her job happens to be that she is an actress who is on the Flash TV show. But that's the only difference. That's the only thing. It just happens to be that her job is one where it gets her a lot of notoriety because she's consistently in the public eye every week. But if we lived in a world where the equivalent of Hollywood was accountants or doctors or teachers, then like teachers would be the most sought after people, and they would be celebrities. They'd be paid tons and tons of money, which, depending on who you talk to, some say it should be that way. But the fact remains here that the only difference between any average woman that you come across and a celebrity like Candace Patton or a celebrity like Chloe Bennett is just the job they happen to do, the job they happen to have. They have a very public job. Say, for example, that like you or myself or somebody, we're touring around, and we happen to get a chance to go into like the DC headquarters, Warner Brothers headquarters or something like that. And you ran into Candace Patton, or if you happen to tour at ABC or CBS or whatever it is, and you ran into the staff of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you managed to run into Chloe Bennett. How you reacted as an individual is really just kind of based on who you are as a person. Those individuals who struggle when it comes to engaging in conversation, which is to say, introverts will probably be less likely to respond in a way like I would. I mean, I wouldn't freak out and be like, oh my God, you're Candace Patton. Like, I wouldn't... I wouldn't freak out like that because it's creepy and it's weird. So when it comes to someone like any of those celebrities, I wouldn't respond that way. To be honest, I would just be like, hey, I'm a huge fan, and I would try to strike up a conversation with him. But for me as a person, at 34 years old and always having been an extrovert, it's really easy for me to pick up on social clues. If people are just kind of like, hey, look, I'm in a rush, I'm talking to you because you're a fan and I don't want to treat my fans terribly, but I've got other things to do, versus them talking to me as like, I've got all the time in the world. I have nothing going on today. Sure, let's just talk about stuff. From there, I would try to extend into a conversation. Now with Candace Patton, I would be like, hey, if you don't have anything going on, can I buy you lunch? I would be that brazen. I would just throw it out there like that and just be like, can I buy you lunch? And hopefully she would be like, sure. And then I would just talk to her about stuff, I don't know, learn what she's interested in and things like that, because I don't know anything about the girl. But that's how I would approach a situation like that. But I would approach that because I don't see celebrities as celebrities. I see them as people who provide a form of entertainment, and they do a thing that I happen to find interesting. But so do like football players and like basketball players and occasionally baseball players. Not really that often though. Kind of hockey players now since I'm getting into it. But still, like, you know, like people out there provide forms of entertainment in various ways. And so for me, and really kind of, I guess the advice that I'm giving here, you can't really look at people as somehow unattainable. Whether you're a woman who is pining over a celebrity, whether you're whether you're a guy who's pining over a celebrity, treat them like you would treat any other person. I mean, if you, let's say for example, that there's a woman walking down the street, or you go to a local store like a Barnes & Noble or something like that, and there's a girl behind the counter that you find to be attractive, you wouldn't follow her home. You wouldn't like run up on her and just be like, hey, like, you want to go, hey, like, you're really hot, you want to go get dinner sometime? You wouldn't do that. Like, you would walk up and you would try to start a conversation, or you'd keep it small, and maybe you'd go back to that same Barnes & Noble, you know, and talk to her, or maybe just like go back a second time. If you have a conversation the first time around, you know, you kind of make small chat, and it seems like it'd be going well. Every Barnes & Noble has a Starbucks. Like, you get in there, you're like, hey, I don't know when you're taking your break, but like, can I buy you a cup of coffee over at Starbucks? They know what you're asking. They're asking if you can spend time with them and talk to them. So if they're interested, they'll say yes, and if they're not, then they'll say no. And that's it. Like, you don't run up on people like that. You know, that's crazy. I mean, I guess some people are receptive to it, but like, I can't imagine very many. But still, like to me, everyone out there is attainable. No one is outside, like no one is out of my league. It's just a matter of, are they romantically interested in me? You know, if I meet them, can I meet them in a setting where things are neutral, where we can strike up a conversation? Because it could very well be that there's like a celebrity out there that I find to be really attractive on TV, and I happen to meet them and I start talking to them, and they're like the dumbest person ever. And I'm just like, okay, so like, this is going nowhere, and it's cool, but like, you know, we don't need to do this again. And like, and I would leave because I mean, like, me as a person, like, I like people who can keep up with a conversation and like who can hold their own in a debate and different things like that. Like, I like to be mentally stimulated when it comes to talking to people. So I don't want a person who's just like, yeah, the sky is blue. Like, that's I'm not looking for that kind of person. But still, like, I mean, you know, that's the nature of things. Like, view celebrities as regular people because they are, and like, carry that mentality over. Like, that's what I do. Just carry it over and just say, like, everybody, like, anybody is anybody. Like, every single human being out there that exists right now suffers from an existential crisis. Who are they? Where are they going? Why are they here? You know, celebrities probably struggle with the issue of like, who's their actual friend and who's there because they believe they can get something out of it. I mean, there's all kinds of people out there that have all kinds of different viewpoints, you know, and you have to view them that way and treat them that way. And because they're just regular people. But anyway, I figured I'd throw that out there. I thought it'd be kind of a cool little topic for a video. Basically letting my mind wander for like 15 minutes or 12 minutes or however long this thing's going on for. But yeah, so I'm actually flying back to Kentucky in order to, man, flights between Colorado and Kentucky are pricey. So I'm flying back to Kentucky at the end of this week, probably on Thursday, so that I can go back home, spend time with friends and family for Memorial Day weekend, and then I'll be back in town. The house is supposed to be finished like this week or next week, like this coming week or halfway through the next week. So I'm so anxious. I've owned this house since November, and the first contractor screwed me over, and the second contractor is doing exactly what I've been asking him to do. Jeremy's awesome. He actually runs a company called Abus Ventures, AIBUS Ventures, here in Northern Colorado. So definitely check them out. I'm ordering all my furniture on AllModern. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but you have Wayfair, and then AllModern is like the affordable, more like modern version of Wayfair. And I like a lot of the stuff that they have because you can get some really, really nice stuff for a really affordable price. And that always works for me. YouTube is nice, and YouTube is a cool thing. But one of the things that I learned when I was younger is to always be frugal with money, especially with YouTube, because you never know how it's going to end. That's a topic I want to talk about one day. I want to talk about the idea of the purpose YouTube serves. I want to talk about that one day. Like, what should you do if you find success on YouTube and start making YouTube money? I want to talk about that because a lot of people get carried away and they just spend their money on everything, and they got nothing to show for it. Or they move out to LA and they just spend the whole time networking, and then their network opportunities work or they don't work. And then when their whole career comes to an end, all they have is an apartment in LA that they can barely afford. They're like I'm thinking about making a video talking about that kind of stuff because I think that's important. I think now, especially now, for a lot of people my age, especially for people who are younger in Generation Z, I think money management is an exceedingly important thing. I think that's one of the most important things to talk about. because a lot of people, I think, don't really have money management skills. I want to say that I read somewhere that something like 20% of the American population actually uses a budget. So that's kind of bad. I mean, that's an issue. You know, how can you save money if you don't know where your money's going to? So with that being said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and bring this video to an end. And yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.